So now we're down to 2,515 chips. Okay. All right, so we're doing a little bit of folding. Wow. Okay, so we have an all-in here. 8-9 versus Ace-5 versus Queens, and the Queens just throttle everybody. Whoa, he's got a straight draw though. Nope. Okay. So after the smoke clears, let's see what we have. What we have now is really what sit and goes are all about, and that is you are on the bubble. Okay, you've done all the right things, you've made all the right plays, you've stayed out of trouble, and now you're on the bubble. The pay's 3, there are 4 spots, there are 4 people left. So what you want to make sure you realize is that there's a big jump from 4th to 3rd. That is a huge jump for a lot of reasons. Not just the money, okay? Because from 0 to whatever the bubble is paying is a lot, but you can't get first, unless you get 3rd, okay? And if you go out in 4th, you get 0. I mean, once you get up into that money range, then you can go on to try to get 2nd and 1st. So this takes on this takes on 2 different characters. One is you don't want to be calling off all your chips when it's going to put you out in 4th, okay? Because coming in 4th is just terrible. But on the other hand, you know that other people aren't going to want to call all their chips off to get them in 4th place. So what this means really is that if at any point on this bubble you can make an efficient all-in push to make people fold, I mean, forget getting good hands and getting called. That's irrelevant. You want to just be getting enough of the folds out there to build up your stack. You don't want to be having showdowns, okay? That's why you don't want to be calling all-ins. You don't want to invite showdowns. The reason why you want to be pushing is because you want people to fold, and if they call you, well, then that's okay too, okay? But that's the reason why you want to be pushing here on this bubble, is to get those blinds and antes. Okay. Now, we have 12 big blinds, 4-handed, so you don't have to be pushing all in under the gun with 3 people left to act, especially with 10-3. Again, we want to stay out of trouble. You have a guy here with 1,035 chips who's threatening to go out. You don't want to take any big risks against this big stack right here. You just fold it. You know what I mean? We caught a piece of it, but we don't care. Just fold it. What are we drawing to? We have nothing. Okay. Guy's doing the right thing. Actually, it's actually a slight technical error what player 2 is doing right now. He should be pushing all in here with any 2 cards, because you see that guy to his right has 1,000 chips, and neither of us can really afford to call with anything but a really tremendous hand for fear of bubbling in 4th when another guy with 1,010 chips is about to go out. So he's really supposed to be pushing all in here. So this is actually kind of an error. Okay, now it gets folded to me. This is a standard type play. I'm pushing all in with, again, I didn't really care what I had right here. It's 100, 200. I got about 10 big blinds. That's about, I can increase my stack by about 17% by pushing all in. Player 7 really can't call with much of anything, unless, because the player 1's got 785 chips. And player 1, he doesn't want to bubble either. And, if he does call, big deal. You know what I mean? If he calls, I'm probably alive. At some point, I'm fighting for all these chips in the middle. So this, again, is it's kind of a pre-flop semi-bluff. I want everybody to fold. Everybody should fold. But if they don't, it's not the worst case in the world, especially if the 785 chip guy calls. I mean, that, while it will cripple me, it won't bust me at least. There's a big difference, when you're 4-handed between getting crippled and being completely out. So the guy did call me. I ran into a good hand. well, good hand in this spot, and drawing very thin. So again, it's no big deal. You know, you play good, you do the right things, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. But you know what? You go with the hands that you're dealt. I have 1,105 chips now. I still have, again, more than 5 big blinds. Okay, if you have more than 5 big blinds, you can still afford to fold. Okay, now 8-9 of hearts is a hand that I might consider pushing all in with if kind of the stacks were reversed a little differently. Like if the 1,900 chip guy, the guy I could, you know, guy I could hurt, was in the big blind, I might push with the 8-9 of hearts, but because the big blind has all these chips, he'd be getting enough odds, given the fact that it really wouldn't hurt him if he did call, to take a shot at me. So at this particular level, again, I don't have under 5 big blinds. I still have enough where I could fold maybe one more round, so I don't want to take my shot against someone who's going to, you know, have a good reason to try to take a shot at me. So now you see what's going on. Now everybody's just waiting for me to bust, okay? Because I'm the one with the 1,100 chips. So now we're at the 200, 400 level, okay? We're at the 200, 400 level, and I have all of 680 chips. But you think about this, it's very, very strained for everybody right here, except for player 2. Player 2 has 8,200 chips, so he is in, you know, sit and go nirvana, okay? He can basically be pushing all in every hand, and these other 2 guys simply can't call, okay? Because I have no chips, and for them to call off all their stacks right now and possibly going forth would be an incredible error. So player 2 should go, you know, just continue to start plowing at people. All right, so let's see what develops here. Okay, this was actually very interesting. It gets folded around to the small blind, and he pushed all in on me, and I had queen 8 and I folded. Okay? Now again, I could have taken a shot and called there, but I'm not completely dead yet. I'm going to have another couple of hands where I can pick something up, and there's money left in the pot. There's going to be money in the pot with blinds and antes to get, and these other 2 guys don't have that many chips. I mean, I could see where the guy with 1,875 chips might end up taking a shot, you know, to get back in the game, and the 8,000 chip guy could call him, and I can still sneak into the money and continue onward. So there's no reason, again, to call all your chips off where you're going to bubble in forth. If this were reversed and I had the queen 8, I probably would have raised all in. But, you know, because I'm calling off all my chips with no possibility for folding, that's what makes the difference. And who knows, if you do the right thing, maybe you get rewarded with a good hand. And on the next hand, I get queens. Now I can call, and the guy actually made a very good play by raising 7-4 of clubs there, because again, very few hands that the guy in the big blind could call with, and you know, unless I have queens, you know, he's not going to be in like completely terrible shape. So some miracle, the queens hold up, and just like that, I'm back in it. Okay, now from almost 0 chips in one hand, I'm basically tied for second. There's an 8,200 chip guy who's still, you know, still the boss, but I have 1,785 chips at the 200, 400 level. I still have just the slightest bit of fold equity, and these other 2 guys are paying the blinds, and their fold equity is almost extinguished. Okay, player 2 should be pushing all in. All right, player 2 just made a very, very big mistake. The 200, 400 level, he's got 8,000 chips, and the smallest stack, the biggest stack of all of us, has only 4.5 big blinds. This is a very big error, in my opinion, by him, by folding. And what he does is give me a shot to go take my stab at it. So I go all in for 1,785 chips. I am just on the, you know, the edge of where I can do this. And more to the point, the blinds have 1225 and 1570. They have a very even stack between the 2 of them. They're just looking at each other for who's going to go out first. So again, this bubble scenario is very, very strenuous, you know, for all players, and no one wants to go out in fourth. So being able to be the first guy in, all in, with any kind of stack at all is just huge. So I push all in with the queen 10. Everybody folds, which is a tremendous result for me. and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I am clear second. I am 2,460 chips. The next two guys, the chip leader still has 77.95, and the other guys are just screwed. They have 1,200 and 1,300. They have three big blinds. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So again, I can fold. They gave this guy a walk. They gave the big stack a walk. Again, this shows fear. Nobody wants to go out right now. Including me. I mean, he's going to push all in on me, which he has to do. I have to fold, and this is a very very good player too. He just made that one mistake that let me back in the game, and it might actually come back to haunt him later. Now he's back in. He's doing the right thing now. He pushes. The guy called with ace-2, which may be correct. I'm not even sure. Probably. He didn't have all that many chips to call with, and the ace actually held up. All right. So now what do we have? Let's take stock of where we are now. Now the big stack is 7,700. I am at 1,785. The next stack has 2,375. And now the small stack has 870, and in the big blind having posted 400. All right. So again, player 2 is supposed to be pushing all in here, and he folds. I don't know why. I folded 2, and so they go at each other. Ace-2 versus Queen-5. Let's see if the Ace-2 can hang on. Nope, no such luck. Short stack doubles up, and this is the way you have to play these signals. You have to look all the time at what these stacks are. Let's pause again. Where we're at now. Now, we have 1,760 chips. We still have 4.5 big blinds, just on the bare edge of fold equity, if we want to go all in here. Then the button has 1,280, which is 3 big blinds. Now the small blind is doing better. He's got 6 full big blinds at 2,415. Okay, we can't push all in right here because, again, that big blind is stacked. And he could call us pretty easily. Now we have ace-jack versus ace-jack. Boy, can we get anybody out of this tournament already? Guy pushes all in. Very good play. I have to fold. All right, well, here we go. This is again a very seminal moment in the sit and go. It's 2-4. It gets folded to me. All right, I have 6-3 in the small blind. You just gotta close your eyes and pretend it's something better, because that guy's got only 1,080 chips. He does not want to go out. Okay, and there's so much money in this pot that if he folds, I'm going to collect the 200 of my small blind, the 400 of the big blind, 700 total. That would give me actually a kind of almost a workable stack right now. So this is a mandatory push. Remember, the guy in fourth has to fold right here unless he has a little bit of something. So he does not want to go out in fourth. So now we're down at still at 4 players, and let's take stock of where we're at. I got 1,800 in chips now. Again, now we're waiting on this guy with 855 chips to bust out. Okay. Again, it's a very stressful situation right now. Nobody wants to go out. Even though I have an 830, now he knows he has no fold equities. Now he has to wait for a hand. And now he goes all in, and he gets snapped off by somebody. Wow, ace-9 versus ace-8. Will nobody ever go out of this tournament? Nope. Crazy. We have to fold again. This is looking starting to look a little dicey here. 6 level. Now we still have to fold. It's 1,060. We have 1,060 chips, and we're at the 3-6 level. We've made very few mistakes, so we can take solace in that, but we're going to have to get a little bit lucky here. Can we fold in this spot? See, the problem is, if we do go all in here with 1,000 chips at 3-6, the guy is 100% compelled and forced to call. So if you have 7-10 and you are guaranteed to be called by somebody, you're probably just better off just waiting, okay, and hoping you get something better when you get in the big blind or soon thereafter. I mean, you just can't just commit poker suicide here. So hopefully we get lucky here on hand 68. We got King 10. That's good enough. We got a walk. All right. Now again, this is either an expert play or a terrible play by player 2. Okay. I'm leaning towards the fact that it's actually an expert play because here's what's going on. I have 660 chips. Let's actually refresh the hand so we can see exactly what I had. I had 1,010 chips, okay, at the 300, 600 level. I posted the ante, then I posted the big blind. After posting, I have 360 chips, and it gets folded around to the small blind, okay. On the one hand, he could have just put in the 660 chips extra and get a lot of odds and go up against my basically random hand. But look at what these stack sizes are. There's a guy with 1,400 chips begging for him to do that. There's a guy with 2,300 chips begging for him to do that. Kind of like one of Sheet's rules is you do what will piss the most amount of the table off. And by giving me a walk right here, it keeps that bubble situation alive. And for the big stack, it's a beautiful thing, okay? So this is actually not a terrible play if the guy knows what he's doing by folding this. And, so he makes me happy, but the other two guys are going to be really, really mad. And that's exactly what happens. He gives me a walk, which if I had aces here, I'd rather have a walk than get pushed all in on. I mean, this is a huge thing. I mean, I basically doubled up to 1,410 just because the guy gave me a walk. Okay, now it folds to me. I have, again, it's 3-6. I have 2-5 in the small blind, okay? But again, this guy does not want to bust, all right? So I could push with these any two cards. He calls with 9-4, okay? So here, he finally caught on to what was happening, and he says, you know what? I don't care if I go out in fourth. This is, I'm getting a lot of odds to call. It's clear that he's pushing me with any two cards, so I'm calling with my 9-4 of hearts. Now, whether that is a good call, I am actually going to put off until another lecture where I talk about ICMs and independent chip models and things like that. But suffice to say that it is probably actually not a great call. Even though he's getting a zillion to 1 odds, the possibility of going out in fourth is a very, very difficult thing to justify a call with, okay? If you were going to call off all your chips and go out fourth if you lose, it's usually the wrong idea. And I will go over that in great arcane detail another time. And you know how you know that it was a bad call? All right? Because I sucked that on the river, okay? The poker gods have a very violent sense of humor, okay? And if you make a bad call, you make a bad play, you'd be surprised what happens. So, we're three-handed, and it's at the 300, 600 level, and I have about 5 big blinds, which technically means I could be pushing with any two, but that guy with 1,960 chips is just waiting to go out before me. So let's see, let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance to go out. He didn't accommodate, he did fold. And on we go. Now we have a big hand, we have ace-10. We're certainly calling with this. He actually had a pair. We're going to actually have to suck out on this. Wow, I thought he was much weaker than that. Was it a good call? Of course, because the 10 comes on the river. So, moving on, we have now 5,900 chips, and we have 5,900 compared to 5,600 compared to 1860. 300, 600 level. Okay. The button with the same stack as we do makes it 1,200 of his 5,600 chips. Okay? Alright? To me, that is a real dangerous type of raise. Alright? I have ace-3 in the small blind. Now, it takes a lot for me to fold an ace three-handed, okay? But if you factor in the situation, the big blind has only 1,200 chips. There is no way I want to bust out when that big blind has 1,200 chips, especially with only ace-3. And that 1,200 chip raise by the big blind is a real nasty, suspicious type raise. I want no part of it. The other guy takes a shot at them, and I was dead wrong. The guy only had queen-10, and he's up against king-jack, and you know what? It looks like I was right. Because an ace comes on the river. But you know what? It's not good against the straight. So, we are now heads up. 7,800 chips to 5,500 chips at the 300, 600 level. Now, there's been kind of a new development, actually a new development, just a different way of kind of organizing it in the poker community regarding how to play heads-up big blind poker. There's something called the Sage method, which was kind of rolled out on Card Player, which I honestly do not want to spend 20 hours going over right now. But suffice to say that when you're heads up in big blinds, you know, when you have big blinds out there, you want to be pushing a lot, okay? And if you are going to be fighting for, you know, for a pot, which is like 10 times, which is 1/10 of your stack or better, or even 1/5 of your stack or better, you are going to be probably pushing almost any two cards. Now there are some people that regard this part of the game as the all luck phase, where it's you just push and pray or whatever. But I take a little bit of offense to that because it takes a lot of work to figure out exactly when you're supposed to start pushing, and it takes an incredible amount of work to figure out when you have to be calling people's pushes. So while it's not the same quote-unquote skill involved in playing 20,000 chip stacks with the 5-10 blinds, there's certainly a great amount of quote-unquote skill involved in this. And as I said earlier, if you can get to a point in the game where you know that every decision you are going to be made is correct, then you have strategically won the game already. Okay, these cards might not accommodate you, but once you get to that point, the game is pretty much over. All right, so it's 3-6. We're going to give him one fold, okay, because we still are not in push mode, especially with that hand. But that's probably going to be the last time we fold. He folds to us. He probably should have pushed all in on us there. We definitely would have folded. And away we go. We'll give him one more fold because again, we still have about 8 big blinds, and 10-2 is just the worst hand ever. So let's see what happens for the rest of this tournament. He limps and we push. I mean, this is an easy push. There's no limping allowed with these levels. Just ain't gonna happen. And now I think this next hand I get a little bit cute. Yeah, I mean, I have queens. I mean, I could have pushed. I tried to sucker him in, And it didn't matter what I did. He was going to fold there anyway. Calls. Now this time again, I figured that, he was catching on to what I was doing. So I didn't want to just always be pushing him when he limps. I mean, I didn't know this player all that well. So again, I basically just wanted an open fold here. But what happened is he exhibited a lot of weakness. All right, let's go through this hand again. Okay. I have Jack-2. He's limped in for 300. Now, what is the image that I've portrayed this whole tournament? Okay? It's someone who doesn't really want to play flops, who only will bet at flops if he has something, and, is more apt to push someone out of the hand than entice someone into it. Okay, so he limps in, and we're in a critical situation. We have 1,300 chips in the pot. I figured this is a good opportunity to maybe steal a pot if he lets me. Okay, so I check, and the flop comes Queen 6-3 with 2 hearts. Now, I check this flop again because if I bet at this, he's going to probably take a shot at me with any straight draw, any flush draw, or whatever, with 2 cards to come. I figured I would check it. But when he checked behind, I was pretty much committed to, in my own mind, to be betting at whatever came on the turn. Okay? It's a nice pot to take down. The 5 comes. I bet. He folds. This is a huge, huge hand. It doesn't hurt that I also had a straight draw that I could have hit on the river anyway. So that was a huge hand. This put me over the top. I have 7,100 compared to his 6,200, and I can really leverage this chip lead. Okay, we're going to be all in almost every hand right from here on in, I think. Now we have a real decent chip lead here. He pushed, I have to fold. One time that he gives me a walk, though, then he's going to have a big problem because he's not going to be able to survive giving up that many more chips. I already looked at my cards there. Again, strategically it's over, but I have to still, just work it out here. He pretty much has to push any 2 cards at this point to stop, this nonsense. And he folds. I mean, getting a walk with 10-5 in this spot is just huge. And you know what it also does for me? It gives me the opportunity. I can give him a walk if I feel like it right now, if my hand is not that great. I mean, I can afford to actually give him 1 set of blinds and still have the chip lead. We'll give him 1 walk. See, I hope everybody can see what's happening here. I mean, I have this chip lead with these big blinds. So basically, as long as I maintain this chip lead, I continue just to keep pushing him all in and until I get a hand. And one of these days, I'm either going to push when he has something, and I'll either have a better hand or I'll suck out, or he's going to push into me when I have something and I'll have enough to call. So if you can maintain this chip lead and keep this pressure on, I mean, again, strategically, it's pretty much over. Okay, he probably has to push here, and he does. Okay. Now we have an excellent hand. We have a pair of 8s. I don't know why I felt like I'd just be cute here. I made it 3 times. Certainly calling an all-in push. Maybe he doesn't know that, though. He'll take a shot at me. And he flat calls, okay? So now, this is the last thing I kind of expected. But remember I went over earlier about seems like 4 hours ago, when you have a hand like ace, king, or ace, queen, you want to be in a position where you see all 5 cards. Whereas if you have a pair, you want to be in a position where you only have to see 3 cards. So basically, in this spot, even though there's 4,900 in the pot, he's got 38 behind, and I have 47 behind. I am 100% committed to pretty much any flop here. Okay, it's going to take an insane flop for me to get away from this. I mean, the flop comes king, queen, 2 with 2 diamonds, with all diamonds. He's forced to push. Okay, there's too much in there for him to not take a shot at this. He can push here with pretty much any 1 diamond and probably get the right odds to do this. And I'm certainly not throwing my 8s away. I mean, there's just too much in there, too many chances for him to be bluffing, and he actually was stronger than I thought. He had a straight draw, and turns out it was a good call by my pair of 8s because the 10-jack didn't catch. All right. And that's the end of the sit and go. Now, this was an excellent, I think, beginning to what I hope to be a kind of a long series on sit and goes. I'm going to sometimes go over actual tournaments like I do here. Sometimes I'm not going to go over any hands, but I'm just going to go over just kind of how to analyze and how to calculate all-in or fold strategies and things like that. And between backs listen to my sit and goes that are going to be put on here, you are going to get, a full course, a full, kind of a full education in sit and go play. I might have to ban you from my games by the time you guys are done. But I think this was a neat sit and go to get started with, because it shows how to play big, it shows how to play small, it shows how to play early, it shows how to play in the middle, it shows how to play late. Gave you a little introduction into kind of some of the all-in or fold strategies that I'm going to expand on later. And I appreciate everybody hanging in there. This is Sheets signing off.